All right, let's talk about one of the quietest but most powerful truths about being human. It's this: your unconscious mind is always, always working, whether you notice it or not. Today, we're going to dive into this hidden force and explore how working with it, instead of fighting it, can be a total game changer.
So let's just jump right in with a huge question. Who do you think is really in charge of your choices every day? You probably think it's your rational, logical self, right? Well, what if the part of you that you think of as the CEO is actually just the narrator? You see, this idea kind of flips everything we think we know on its head. We love the idea that our conscious mind is in the driver's seat, making all the big calls. But the reality? It's much more like a storyteller, one that explains our actions after they've already happened. It rarely causes them. And that brings us to our first section here, really understanding the role of your conscious thoughts. Think of it as your mind's official narrator. Here's the most important part to get. Your conscious mind, it is brilliant at creating a perfectly logical story for why you took that job or why you instantly disliked someone. But here's the twist. That story is almost always written after the decision has already been made, deep, deep below the surface of your awareness. So let's build on that. If the conscious mind is just the narrator, then who's the author? Well, now we get to look at the unconscious at work, the true powerhouse behind pretty much everything you do. Which, begs the question, right? If our choices and reactions aren't coming from our logical thoughts, where on earth do they come from? They begin way down deep, in places that don't even use words. They start in your instincts. They take root in your emotional memory, pulling from a lifetime of experiences you don't even actively recall. And so often, they're shaped by old wounds you barely remember, but that your body, your nervous system, has never, ever forgotten. It all really comes down to this one simple, powerful idea. Your unconscious makes the decision. Your conscious mind later provides the explanation. Just think about that for a second. The chess move is made, and then the commentator starts talking about it. That's a fundamental shift in how we see ourselves. And hey, this isn't just some abstract theory. I mean, think about your own life. That instant gut feeling of trust you get with a new person, or that immediate urge to avoid someone. That's your unconscious, guiding you in relationships. It's the invisible hand in your career choices, your biggest conflicts, your anxieties, and what you're pulled toward. Okay, so if this incredibly powerful force is always at work, how do we access its wisdom? Well, this leads us to a really fascinating idea. You don't find insight. You don't force it. You simply create the conditions for it to emerge. I mean, think about it. You've been wrestling with a problem for hours, just banging your head against the wall, and then the solution just pops into your head while you're in the shower. Or maybe you're stuck on something, so you go for a walk just to clear your head, and then bam, out of nowhere, the answer is just completely obvious. Or that perfect idea just shows up while you're driving, kind of zoned out, not really thinking about anything at all. Yeah, that's not a coincidence. That is your unconscious mind finally getting the space it needs to do its work. So what are these right conditions? Well, it's really about creating an environment of stillness and space. It's about embracing slowness instead of constantly rushing, and it requires real honesty with yourself and a lot of patience. Your unconscious can sort through things your conscious mind could never figure out, but you have to give it time. What this really means is that our task isn't to analyze harder, but to listen better. We actually have to learn to notice the signals that are coming from inside. And here is the absolute key. Your unconscious is constantly communicating with you. It just doesn't use words. It speaks its own very distinct language. Its language is something you feel in your body and see in your behaviors. It speaks in physical tension, that feeling of resistance to an idea, or that powerful, unexplainable attraction to something or someone. It speaks through your dreams, through recurring patterns in your life, through sudden impulses, feelings of discomfort, and of course, that quiet little voice of intuition. These aren't just random noise, they're messages. And when we learn to listen to that language, it leads to the most important shift of all. We start to see our mind not as something to be controlled, but as something to collaborate with. So the old goal was always to control your mind, right? To force it into submission. The new goal, the better goal, is to collaborate with it,
to give it space, listen to its signals, and just be patient with its pace. You don't have to fight it anymore.
Because here is the real secret, the most profound takeaway from all of this. Your unconscious is not your enemy. It is your ally. In fact, it might just be your greatest ally, holding all the experiences and wisdom your conscious mind forgot about a long, long time ago.
It's constantly, quietly trying to guide you. So, the only question left is, are you ready to stop, get quiet, and actually listen to its whisper?